Hello, welcome to our live stream. This is an exciting pantry chat event with all of these channels that you can see here. If you're here with us live, thank you for joining us. And if you're catching it later, thank you for tuning in to the replay. And just wanted to say hello to a couple awesome people who are here. Nanette is here. Good to see you. Aphrodite Stone, thanks for stopping by. And we have Forgotten Vale over in Quebec. Hello, thanks for coming in. Thorhaven Farm is here. What an awesome channel. Definitely go check that out if you have a chance. And Harvey's here. Thanks for stopping by. Super good to see you. So yeah, we have a huge panel of wonderful channels here. We're each going to go through and each person's going to introduce their channel. And if you haven't met me before, I'm Ben CD Prepper. We have a channel, it's a variety channel. We talk about some gardening and some prepping, and I've got a bit of a science and pet and paramedic background, and the other part of the channel is a pilot and a farmer. So those are the kinds of things we bring to our channel. And but enough about me. Let's turn it over to Sugar in the Attic Homestead.
Oh, good afternoon or good evening. On my channel, I discuss being self-sufficient. I get into gardening and also home canning, and I have a farming background. So I enjoy gardening a lot.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Patty?
I'm Pattis, Southern Kitchen and More, and I do cooking. I started out primarily doing cooking, and then since I was prepping anyway, I started to do some prepping. I do have variety, do some ASMR, and I'm doing some gardening, light gardening now. I've gardened before, but I started last year doing, just planting some herbs and little things, peppers. So, in fact, I was in the yard just before this started, and I said, "Oh, I got to get in the house because I've planted some seeds today." So, I do a variety of things.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. And Cynthia, want to tell us about your channels? Oh, you're muted. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Cynthia from the Bigs Prep, and I also have another channel called Our Bigs Adventure. Our Bigs Adventure is mostly gluten-free cooking, meal planning, meal prepping. And then the Bigs Prep is all about prepping. We do reactions to hyperinflationary events. We do gardening and grocery prepper hauls, all kinds of the good stuff, all the good stuff, the prepper videos.
Wonderful. Thanks. Hey, Nene, what's up?
Hi, I'm Renee, and my channel is Nene's Prep and Kitchen, and I do anything from making SHTF recipes, things that might be harder to make, and things that you can make off your pantry, to doing like Walmart and Dollar Tree and Dollar General walkthroughs, checking out the different prices and what our shelves are looking like today. And I do some, been starting some growing, some seed starts, and yeah, so I kind of do a little bit of everything. I do pantry or hauls from Dollar Tree and Dollar General and Walmart and that as well.
Thank you. How about you, Linda?
Well, I'm Linda from Linda's Prepper Kitchen. Oh, sorry. Okay, Google, stop. I'm sorry. I'm Linda from Linda's Prepper Kitchen, and on my channel, you're going to see a little bit of everything. I do canning, dehydrating. Y'all, if you know me, you know I love dehydrating. I do prepper hauls. I sometimes do updates, and I do SHTF recipes. If you like a quirky, funny type of person, come on over and check me out.
Right on. And how about you, Shanna?
Hi, I'm Shauna from MomentsWithUs, and we do a little bit of everything. Some of the same things what the other ladies mentioned, such as pantry meals. I just started that, and I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. I love creating content outside. I'm more of an awareness. So I definitely love getting out there and showing people how fast these prices are rising, and they should definitely be getting out there, stocking up on what they can and the best way that they can.
Thank you so much. And I just realized I'm the only Canadian. Everybody else is in the US, so I feel a little overwhelmed, but it's awesome. And spanning many parts of the US. So people can go to your channels and check it out. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Harvey for stopping by today. And I also wanted to give a shout out to ghee, because everybody loves ghee. And if you want to learn how to make ghee, if you don't know how, Linda has a great video about that, and maybe others do too, but I know Linda has because I have watched it recently. So Sugar in the Attic Homestead had a topic idea today about how the media announced food shortages and the discussion of how we can continue to prepare gardening, shopping sales, the effect that it will have on people, and will people panic, or will they not believe that there truly are food shortages coming? And of course, farms need a lot of fertilizer to produce these crops. The fertilizer is tripled in price and going up, and the supply is not there, so leading to more food shortages. So it would be great if we could get into this topic. Would you like to start, Sugar in the Attic Homestead?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I do have a background in farming. I had a career, a professional career, but our family owned huge family farms in the South. And so we actually sold about 7 years ago when the price of fertilizer tripled. Now that was 7 years ago. Now, most of the soil on the farms, if you just planted crops, it's not going to have high yields at all. They're going to be very, very low. So that's a problem. That's why they had to buy so much fertilizer, and they still have to buy fertilizer. That leads to less production, food shortages for sure, and I'm just wondering, finally in the media, it came out, oh, food shortages. And people started calling me yesterday when it came out, and the phone never stopped all night long. Oh, well, what am I going to do? Well, I told you 7 years ago, but okay, is there going to be a panic? In some areas, I think there is a panic. In my area so far, there's not a panic, but there are a lot of people in the stores trying to fill carts.
Yeah, so any other comments, any other discussion about this?
Well, I feel like as far as whether it be panic buying, I feel like since 2020, there's not a huge amount of preppers out there, but there are a huge amount of people that do have a prepper. I don't want to call it prepper pantry, but have a pantry of probably about a month. And they're probably going to feel kind of secure in that little pantry they got going. So we're probably not going to see as big of a run in when panic buying, if it does kick in. But I think we will see one. I don't think it's going to be as bad. I mean, we've had the president go on and pretty much tell us, hey, there's food shortages coming. And back in 2020, the first little inkling of, oh, we can't get out of our house for a couple of days, all the toilet paper was gone within seconds. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any, panic buying or actually anyone buying more in my area, but I do live in a smaller, community too. So I don't know. Some of you people that live in bigger areas, have you noticed anyone buying more than usual, do you think?
I'm sorry. I saw a video. I don't know if y'all know him. He's a great channel. I love him. His name is Tom's Backyard Garden. He put up a video a couple of days ago. He went in to do his normal video just to get some things and show us. And it was astonishing, actually, to see his store. I think there are some areas that people might be doing their thing. It was astonishing. So, yeah, it was bad. And I know South Carolina is bad as well. So
the people that I have talked to in my area just don't seem to be taking it real seriously. When I talk to people and I tell them about what's happening, have they been listening to the news and what have you, and they will say, oh, I have a pantry, I have food, I have this, and I don't need to buy anymore. I think they're just not getting it around here. I said I'm prepping meds, I'm prepping foods and freezer, with food, and I have additional candles and flashlights and things like that I have bought. And they say, well, we do have a few they're just not. I don't know what they're thinking. They're not thinking that it may be another depression. I just don't know. But really, I have been doing this for a while. I grew up with it. I am from southeastern Louisiana. If you know anything about that area, we always had hurricanes. And from a child, well, in 1965, Betsy came through, and I was near the New Orleans area. So that area got hit pretty hard, 45 minutes west of New Orleans. So, I learned early on about candles. My mom always had kerosene lamps. And, with the wick, some of you may remember that. Maybe Linda, you might remember that kerosene lamp. And we had the matches and the candles and the flashlights, because when the storms would come, we would lose power. And they always had pantries full of food. To this day, my mom is 90 years old, and in her backyard, she has a little storage house full of canned goods, as well as her pantry in the kitchen. She was born in the Depression, and they know well, she learned from her parents to be prepared, to have food on hand. They lived off the land. My grandparents were homesteaders, so, they raised chickens and ducks and, crops and stuff like that. So anyway, this preparedness is not new to me.
What I'm getting more reached out for recently is gardening. Like where do I start? How do I know what seeds grow in my area? What's a grow zone? And all like the really good questions. And we're in Central Florida, and I'm telling everybody, you can throw collard seeds down in your yard and they will grow and you can eat them. And collards are really high in iron and vitamins and calcium and all the good things, and you will not starve. And, get you some bags of rice and put it with collard greens. And the other thing that I'm asking people to do is think about what people ate in your area during the Civil War. So if they ate grits, then that's what you need to stock. Or if they ate, what did a typical diet of the person in the Civil War look like? That was before electricity. That was a local seasonal menu. So that's kind of where I'm steering. That's what I'm hearing most is, how do I start gardening? Because they realize, like, going to the store, I spent $5 on zucchini because our garden's not up yet. And they were the saddest, smallest little zucchini, and they had been beat to death. And I said, this is crazy. It's crazy how high the prices are, and we haven't seen anything yet. I talked to a man the other day. He's a watermelon farmer here in Florida, and he is extremely concerned because, number one, like Sugar in the Attic mentioned, he can't get enough fertilizer to fertilize his crop. And he said to old me, he said, a mother will go and spend $6 on a watermelon for her children for a picnic or a barbecue, but she will not spend $16 on a watermelon, period, the end. She will spend that $16 to fill her children's belly. Watermelons are a treat, but they're my bread and butter. And I was like, you know what? You're right. The other thing he was really concerned about is his cattle, because he rotates his cattle around in his watermelon field. So he lets a field go fallow and puts the cows on it and then rotates them around. His cows are all pregnant now, but he doesn't have fertilizer to fertilize the grass enough to feed them all summer. So he was really stressed out, and he said, I've never seen it like this. So that's kind of where I'm at here in Central Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, with the fertilizer issue, that's going to be a big problem for a lot of farmers, right? maybe not so much our little garden we have in the backyard, but those trying to actually produce enough food for, a crop for their animals even.
That's why it's even more important that we prepare now and get your fertilizer shortages, our wheat, corn. We need to prepare now. You need to be, like we all say, I'm sure we've all used it in our thumbnails, stack it to the rafters. And when I say it, I mean it literally, y'all. And I mean every aspect of it, because it's looking like, to me, my opinion, we're going into World War III. And we see where China has already decided. He's pretty much sided with Russia. So is India, the Middle East. Y'all, our medicines are, almost everything comes out of China.
Yeah.
So stack it to the rafters.
Stack it to the rafters.
That's right, y'all.
I agree with it. Listen, if you think about it, like right now, the shelves are empty, the shelves are bare, right? You're going into the stores, people are saying, oh, I can't find this, I can't find that. Then if you go to the store another time and you say, hey, it's there, I'll get it next time. It's going to be a point where you're not able to get certain items. So if you see something, I definitely agree with getting it now.
Yeah.
Because certain things are just not going to be even produced anymore. You're not going to be able to get certain medicines, certain foods, certain supplies, even your first aid kits. You're not going to be able to get a lot of things. So if you see it now, definitely get it now.
That's right. And y'all, we need to think of more along, we've all got this, oh, well, I've got this and I got that. We need to sit and just realistically think about exactly how it's really going to be. We've got this picture in our head, but it's probably not going to be like that, y'all. It's not. So you better have your rocket stove. If you don't have a big old huge propane tank like you do those people that live out in the city or up north, you best be building you a rocket stove. You're going to be cooking on a rocket stove. You're going to run out of propane. And like I said, you're going to run out of propane. You're going to run out of charcoal. You need to get you some wood stacked up at your house, because that's how you're going to fuel your rocket stove to cook. Yeah, just really think about how we're really going to be living during that time. So, yeah.
Another thing I'd like to say is, if you have the ability to garden, we put in a couple extra rows this year to help out some friends, because we have people who are elderly in our community, people who cannot garden because they're not physically able to. So we put in extra food for them. And it may be collard greens, it may be, turnips or something that you're not used to eating, but you won't go hungry, because I don't like seeing people be hungry. So we definitely did that this year, bumped up the garden to share.
And what I do is, out on my property, I have things, and I've done this for 30 years. I have things on my property that it's a permaculture, and it works with the land. It's also, these things are also, they grow wild. I know how to forage. I know how to find food. Let's say somebody comes in and everything's gone out of my pantry. I can still go out and find berries, different herbs and things of that nature, but especially berry vines that don't require any care whatsoever. I mean, I have a berry vine that I don't have to water, I don't have to clip. It produces every year, and it comes back every year, and it takes over, yes. So, but it's very, very prolific. And so I can go out, and if you look at the property, it just looks like a bunch of woods. It looks like a mess, unless where the gardens are. But I can go through there. I can pick fruit. I can pick nuts. I can pick berries. And it sounds like a bear, nut and berries. But I can survive until, and then there are things that are green. It's a perennial spinach is here. And there's a lot out there that people don't realize, like a sunchoke. It comes back every year like a vengeance. It takes over. But people think it's sunflower on the side of the road. But you can dig it up, cut it up if you know what it is, and you can eat it.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely everybody who's, if there's anybody new to prepping who's listening to this, please check out these channels, because there's lots of advice on growing things. And for the Canadians the ones who don't get a lot of sun or maybe great weather, one thing that definitely consider getting some grow lights for inside. You can get some inexpensive ones and get some. Right now I'm doing microgreens and lettuce because it's inside. I can control it. Nothing's going to come and eat it. And I can just add it to my more boring preps if to add a little bit of greenery. And then the other thing is I was talking to someone up north who is in a mobile home that doesn't have a lot of a yard. So we were talking about finding one aspect of that mobile home this summer and doing some vertical growing. So having a few planters and having some beans or having some peas. And it may not be in the spot at the front next to the door. It might be around the back, but you can get a lot of vertical things like that. And I'm pretty sure all the folks in this chat, I'm sure you could reach out if you have like a nuanced question about how to get something growing, because it's pretty much possible. Even if you're in a studio apartment, it's possible. It looks like Apocalyptic Ben, who's a channel I just found the other day, and I'm really enjoying your discussions on that channel, and send us a super chat. So thank you. That was very grateful for that. Anyways, back to you guys. Anyone want to add?
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Linda.
I'm sorry. I have a bad time. I'm a hog, so just butt in on me if you need to. I was just going to say I'm new to gardening. I'm learning as I go. I've made a ton of mistakes already, and I will make plenty more. So I do show gardening on my channel, but it's more of just like showing you what I'm doing because, yeah. So.
I'm with you, Linda. The journey. The journey planning.
Too early.
And one of the things that I have done throughout my time or around, I've always talked to people who are a lot older than me, people that were in the Great Depression, people who lived and how they lived and what they did. They didn't have Ziploc bags. They didn't have paper towels. There are a lot of things they didn't have. So how did they deal with different aspects of life? And also, the big thing is pasta. People are saying, well, I can't find pasta. I can't find pasta. Make your pasta. Do you know how to make egg noodles? It's real simple. It takes time, but you don't have to have the pasta if you have flour, an egg. If you have a chicken, you have an egg, and a rolling pin, and you're fine. So you can make your pasta. It's fresh, So there are a lot of different things out there. It takes time, but if anything ever happens, SHTF, we're going to have plenty of time to make things from scratch.
Hi, Jeremy here. A lot of really good stuff. I've worked with a bunch of different guys over the years, and even before this, I've always gardened. We've always gardened. I grew up with it, raising hogs and chickens. Like Sugar in the Attic was talking about foraging. My dad, I was lucky enough, he was teaching me and my brother from the time we could walk. I don't know the names of everything, but I can walk around in my area and, hey, you can eat that, you can eat that, you need to boil that first. I've done it. It's tough. If you don't do it regular, it's hard on your insides. The biggest thing I try and tell people when they ask why I do what I do, like, just start gardening, start small, get some containers, just do it. Because if something was to happen, you're already behind the ball, just get it going, try and keep it going. It's not super expensive. Seeds are cheap. Like, I'm super excited this year. We're going to grow a lot of peppers. She doesn't eat them, but I do. And we're going to freeze them. I mean, we had peppers all the way up to almost
last week.
Yeah, last week. So, I mean, we didn't even really grow a lot of them. So our plan is not to buy them. I started a sweet potato bin too. That's kind of one of my dream things, is that not have to buy sweet potatoes anymore if I can keep that running. But that's pretty much it.
I have a question. Has anyone had a problem finding collard seeds? I have gone to a couple of stores and they didn't have any collard seeds.
Girl, we'll send you some. They got loads down here. I'll send you some.
Oh,
we'll hook up after.
Okay.
Aren't collards a cold weather? So that's something you would plant like
I think pretty much.
In the South, you can grow them pretty much year round.
They don't like the hot in like August, but if you water them every day and keep them thinned out, they'll keep growing. They'll slow down a little bit. Like my dad, he grows corn, and that's my bane. I can't get corn to grow to save my life for some reason. And then he has a problem with collards, so we just kind of trade off. But I had collard greens growing all year through the winter. They're still going.
We'll hook up, Patty. I'll send you some.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I can help people. Sorry, I can help people in Canada. If you need some seeds, because I do have some heirloom seeds that I have been collecting and from here and stuff. If anyone's on a super budget and needs something sent to them, I won't send it across the border though, because I feel like it'll be too suspicious.
So what I was going to say is what I look at is trying to not eat any processed food and trying to grow everything here locally, because I don't spray. I use organic fertilizer. No, am I 100% organic? No one is. They can have a sign, they can do whatever, they can be certified, but there's too many things in the air. But also, someone mentioned that, I think, Linda, you mentioned, and it's true, that most of our medications come from overseas. So medication, some of them obviously we need to have on hand, but the more that you eat food that you grow, you will become more healthy unless it's a specific condition. You just feel better and you won't have to eat as much. And high fructose corn syrup is in almost everything. So I look at all the labels, and if I can't pronounce what's on the label, I don't touch it. It's like, put it back. And I try to stay out of the middle of the store unless it's dishwashing liquid or whatever it might be. They also spray things on the vegetables when they come in, so they don't ripen fast. And the food doesn't taste like anything, in my opinion. Now, that's my opinion. But if I grow it, it tastes like a tomato or it tastes like a cucumber. It just has a better taste. What are y'all thoughts?
I agree.
I agree as well. I definitely agree. It's like when you go to Walmart. When you go to Walmart and get like a bag of grapes or something and you bring it home, once it's out of the store, the next day it's molding. So I definitely agree.
Not to mention strawberries. The strawberries are not good. They're not sweet. And my grandparents grew strawberries. That is a plentiful crop in Louisiana. And I know a very good strawberry when I taste one. And the strawberries just don't have any flavor, any taste. They're not sweet. They're just not good.
I have a question.
I did some research on strawberries a while back, and how they harvest them and what the people have to wear when they harvest them. And it showed a film that they look like they're wearing hazmat suits. Because strawberries are sprayed so much, they have heavy gloves. They don't even want to touch them, and they're throwing them right in those containers, and then they're shipping them out. And I'm thinking, I grow strawberries here. I can't eat that, because even if you wash them and soak them in vinegar water and all this, it's not going to get the chemicals out. There's not a very thick skin on a strawberry. It's really thin. So I decided a long time ago, I just couldn't do it.
Not to change the subject or anything, but I just had a question. I'm trying to think of a indoor cooking source besides the little sternos. The little sternos take forever to cook on, and when things really hit the fan and it gets down to the nitty gritty, because I'm sure at first everybody's going to be, oh yeah, you're a neighbor here, here's some food, but it's going to come to a point when you can't. And you don't want to advertise what you're cooking, so you're not going to want to be outside on your rocket stove. So I'm trying to figure out another method for that's safe to cook indoors. If anyone has any ideas.
The only thing I know about is a wood burning stove, Linda, and we don't see that anymore much in the city.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion on that.
Ventilation, you can use a Coleman cook stove, as long as it's near ventilation.
Yeah, I have one of those, but I thought, well, I think the whole idea from where I'm thinking is I don't want people to smell my food. So I don't really want to be by a window. I don't know if there is such thing as another method or not.
So look into a marine stove for like a sailboat. They use denatured alcohol. It's pretty interesting. I've seen a few of them years back. It's kind of like the Coleman stove, but it looks like a regular, like a little stove you'd have at your house. It's the same principle as the Coleman stove. It heats the little piece up and it's just an alcohol stove, but a little bigger version. You can buy that stuff by the gallon. It's not super expensive and it lasts a lifetime. And it gets hot quick too. Doesn't have much of an odor. You can pretty much do it indoors. Just, have a window or something open.
Okay.
I have a question for the panel, and I was thinking of maybe even throwing this at Shauna's way is, what about if it's not super possible to grow all this stuff and there's, the talk of the pesticides and all that stuff, like how do you navigate still having healthy items, but, purchasing stuff, like say someone who's more in the city or something, what do you recommend?
Well, even what I'm doing, I can only answer for what I'm doing. I don't have like the green thumb like a lot of other people. I just started growing. I'm doing great with the tomatoes, but my spinach, which I hear is easy to grow, is dying. So the best thing to do, like if you really want to stock up on things, make sure you stock up on your grains like rice and get the rice now, because it's going to be hard to find. It's already going up in price. A 20-pound bag of jasmine rice that I have a picture of on my community tab was $37.99. So get your rice, get your dried beans, get things like that will actually keep you full, that you do not need a lot of. And if you do not know how to cook these items, learn to cook now. If you do not know how to cook from scratch, learn to cook from scratch now. 1 second, y'all. Learn to cook from scratch now, because there will be a point when the internet is not available. Do we have the books to learn to cook? Do we have the recipes jotted down somewhere, easy to go to meals? I don't know. 1 second, y'all.
Oh, look at her.
But definitely, that's just my take on it. Get the things now while you can, and make sure you're getting things that's going to definitely hold you.
Yes.
Well,
dehydrated. Get to dehydrating. It takes
that too.
Food, it shrinks it down into small containers, and you can stack it. And it doesn't take nothing. Pour a little water in your pot, dump them in, throw some chicken in there, whatever, and you have dinner.
Yeah.
Also, I do the canned beans, the canned vegetables. So if stuff hits the fan and you don't have electricity, you can really eat them out of the can. They're already done. I have the Creole style navy beans and the Creole style red beans in the can, and they are good. I mean, they're really good. I do have a lot of dried beans and rice, but I also have cans and cans and cans of things I can pull out and eat right from the can, like the tuna. You can eat tuna right from the can. You don't have to do anything with that. And these beans that I'm telling you about can be eaten right from the can.
Cynthia, what do you think? What do you think about dry beans versus canned beans? My opinion, I agree with Patty. I think the canned beans are more important to stock than the dry beans. What's your opinion?
Yeah. I'm loving canned beans, and I get a lot of comments, hey, you know, that's a waste of space or whatever, but I got to tell you something. Beans take forever to make, and they take a lot of water. If I can open up a can and put it in my mouth, beans are high in fiber. They're good for you. They, you know, chemicals aside, I think that if I could open up a can and put it in my mouth without having to heat it up, and those Margaret Home beans are no joke. I love those things. They're so tasty. So I'm into both camp because I want some dried beans too.
Yeah.
Just I can plant those if I want to. But the canned beans, I'm a convenience girl.
Me too.
These ones are gonna have to go. I gotta put these in another room because they're starting to feel bad about themselves.
What are those, lentils?
Yeah, no, these are
Well,
lentils.
lentils are not in the same category. Lentils cook up like that.
Well, and these are these split lentils, which I was going to mention in Canada, Superstore. I just wanted to do a little Canada plug here. I noticed that the split lentils by this brand, Superstore, right now is way less expensive than the whole lentils, and they, of course, as Linda said, they do cook faster. But these are kind of a last resort thing. But found these yesterday.
Do you shop Superstore a lot?
Yeah.
You need to go in there. I'm not a Canadian, but you need to go in there first thing in the mornings because, like I told you on the last one of my favorite vloggers, the one that you went over to, nope. But the other one is one of my favorite vloggers, and she goes to the Superstore every morning, and they have tons of 50% off stickers. So,
okay.
Yeah, tons of them. I was like, oh, we need that here. So, yeah.
And I also wanted to mention how exciting it is that we got Mr. Biggs today in the panel. That is so cool. So thanks for being available.
Another thing I wanted to mention about the food prices is make sure that if anything is on sale, go ahead and grab it. The pork loins were on sale at my local grocery store for $1.69 a pound this week. Did I need pork loins? No. I just bought pork loins, but you know what? I trotted myself right up to the store and got some more to can for this week because those will still be good in 5 years. And I don't want to let that price slip by me. And at my grocery store, the weekend sale, they put out whatever it is on Friday morning, Saturday morning, Sunday morning. So I go there Friday morning. They had 6 of the weekend sale pork tenderloins, limit 2. I got my 2. I got 2 other things that were on sale. I got 1 thing that was on markdown and checked out. I did not buy another thing at that store because the prices are so high at that particular one. But the stale stuff is on sale. So I just go in, target what I want, and leave. So that's a great way for me to combat some higher prices are, really, really high right now.
So just real quick, she does most of the shopping in the grocery store. Our local Winn-Dixie, they remodeled it last year in kind of the end of the pandemic thing or midst of it. And it was really weird because they put smaller shelves in. So they were half as deep and they were a shelf shorter. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they're just making room because she kind of pointed out to me that how they always push everything to the front of the shelf. And that was like an eye opener for me years ago. And it's so crazy how much smaller they are now. And they're still having to push the stuff to the front of the shelf. And yeah, it's just pretty amazing.
So Winn-Dixie did that too. The same thing Walmart did. That's funny. That's odd. Yeah. They know something we don't know.
They definitely do. They're mixing in items, putting in places just to make the shelves look full. So it's definitely a lot of people don't notice it, that they're just filling in the gaps and there's a lot of fronting because to them it looked full. But for people who go to the store, even for people who go to the store every day, still won't notice it because they don't see what a lot of us see. They just see, well, the shelf, it looks full, but in all reality, it's not full.
Well, I don't know if y'all been watching or not, but Russia has had a few strikes that's within just miles of the Poland border. And once they cross over into Poland, its own, and that's Canada. That's all of NATO. This is World War III going. So there is a sense of urgency, y'all, that like y'all been saying, if you see it, you need to get it, because yeah.
And please say a prayer. Our son is in Poland right now.
Find a source for antibiotics.
Yeah, just please say a prayer, because our son is in Poland right now in the army.
Oh
wow. Yeah, I'll definitely be.
Yeah.
I haven't heard from him in 3.5 weeks. So my mama heart
Definitely
is
being a prayer.
Oh, yes.
And what is his first name?
His name is Nathan.
Nathan. Okay, I will definitely call him out in prayer.
Thank you, Miss Patty. Thank you, everybody.
Most definitely. I have 5 sons, so I can't imagine.
So try to make sure that you got some antibiotics on hand. Find a source if you can get it from your doctor. Somebody get your medicines too, because that's what's going to be. That's going to. A lot of Americans are going to die and suffer just lack of being able to get meds. So.
And on that note, a lot of excellent big channels out there talk about Jace Medical, which is, a place that you can order a kit of antibiotics, and it costs money, and it's accessible now in Canada and the US. We're not affiliated or anything, but I hear a lot of people talking about it. I'm sure you guys all do too when you watch videos, or maybe you're affiliated, I don't know. It was only in US before, now it's also in Canada. It does cost a bit, but people who have, reoccurring things like certain infections they get, or they need asthma medication, sometimes, you can ask your doctor for a prescription for some of the things in case. And when I used to do lots more traveling to places like Nepal and stuff, you have to take really intense antibiotics like azithromycin and stuff to go there. So I have those prescriptions. The travel medical clinic will give you those prescriptions. So any sort of anticipation of and it's not affordable for everybody, obviously, but some of the antibiotics are not very expensive. So just thinking about if there's any medications we might need that we can find a way to get, in a safe manner.
Well, through that Jace company you're talking about, I saw Mama Bear Prepper. I went on immediately because I was going to try to get some. If it asks you if you have a primary care doctor and you really want to get some, I'm not telling nobody to lie. I'm not. But when I put in that I had a doctor, they immediately told me that they can't help me. It said that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you do what you do. That's why I went and checked out the fish mocks. Well, my sister had already told me, but yeah. So
also, one thing that I'm doing, and I've been doing, I guess, the last 3 years, I make sure that I know the directors of the grocery stores that are local. I make sure that I know nurse practitioner. So when things go down, if they do, or if I need something and you can't get to the doctor, you can't get the medication, or you can't get, maybe they know how to do that. If I need an IV, obviously I'm not going to start my own. So a nurse practitioner will be able to do all that, and they'll have the access to the supplies, hopefully. Now, another thing is, don't forget your pets. I know no one would, but the cat food that I buy for my cat went up 20 cents per can in 3 weeks. So I went in and talked to the grocery manager today, and I said, made the trek into town, and I said, okay, I need to order X. And he looked at me, he said, what? He said, I said, that's what I need to order, a special order. And because there was nothing on the shelf, nothing. And he goes, okay, it'll be here Monday. Okay, so why are they not putting that much on the shelf? If I can get that much by Monday, why don't they order? Because he said it's always sold out. Well, then, and they only order like 1 case at a time. So has anybody found out about pet food? Or
my sister has a hard time getting the cans of pet food. She's in South Carolina, but it's hard around here too. Pet food has been hit and miss, especially cat food. And like I said, the dog food in the can. I went through a little phase here where I couldn't get my dog's food. I have an old Chihuahua. She has to have the softer like kibbles and bits, but it's back on the shelves now. But yeah, so you might want to start stocking up on your pet food if you see it, kind of like you need to get it because yeah.
I just started making her food. She's kind of small. She's only 5 pounds and she's old. So she's missing some of her teeth. So we just started making her food. And then we have food for our big dog. But we went to Rural King recently and they didn't have jack. They had nothing. Pet food, dog food, cat food, nothing. And we have 2 feral cats outside that we feed. They're fixed and like they've taken care of. But we stopped feeding them wet and switched them over to dry, which they're not very because they're bougie. But, you know, they dry is all I can find. And I don't want to take from somebody whose cat actually medically needs it for, 2 barn cats.
Yeah. I wanted to jump in because there's a question from Aloha J. Thanks for putting in caps so I didn't miss it. It's a question for the panel. Has the local Walmarts had limit on buying number of items? I'll just quickly start up here in Western Canada on the coast. We've seen that fluctuate with time. We've had other factors like catastrophic flooding and things like that. But the things it has been are the dairy, the meat, and the eggs. But right now, I would say not so much. Does anyone have any comments on that topic?
Well, during everything that was going on 3 years ago, we did not have the wipes, the Lysol, and then when they did get them in the store in Walmart, you could only get 1 can. So there was a limited then, and sometimes you can walk through the stores and you may see a limit on eggs or something like that, but not so much now. But during the time when everything happened, we could not get the Lysol, the cleaning, the wipes, and even cleaning supplies because I started ordering online from Sam's and I was able to get a case of Lysol. But yeah, we did have a limit on things at that time.
Yeah, we haven't seen any limits so far at my Walmart. I'm kind of shocked that we don't have any limits on our pasta because we virtually just don't have any, I mean, it's really, really bad on the pasta. So I'm actually kind of surprised that they haven't put a limit on it yet.
I don't have any limits in my store, but there's definitely limits online. Any kind of like canned good, it's usually a limit of 12. Dog food limits. So I prefer ordering online, but sometimes it definitely pays off to go into the store. So my store has actually been looking good lately. So,
I have a theory about the limits. I'm sure they would like to put more limits on things, but if you put a limit sign on a bunch of items in a store, people are going to just start buying like crazy because they see that and they're like, oh my God. And the people that aren't awake, they kind of wake up a little bit and they just want to buy. They're like, oh, I might not be able to get that. And, it's because I know the guy at the Rural King, we do a lot of work for him at our shop occasionally on like welding and such. And he said when they had all their limits and stuff, like especially for ammo, they just couldn't keep it on the shelf. They still do, but they upped it a little bit and people don't seem to be bothered as much. But I know when they had like, oh, you can only get like 3 boxes of, 1 of each caliber or whatever, people just went crazy.
Yeah.
Here at Walmart, there's no limits. At Aldi, they have limits on a few things. And then at all the grocery stores, whatever's on sale is usually limit 2 or limit 4 or whatever, because the sale items, they only get a certain amount.
The same thing here. Here in New Jersey, Walmart, no limits. I'm seeing limits on certain things in our local BJ's, but that's pretty much it.
Jumping over into the chat, I see Aphrodite Stone has mentioned a couple times tea tree oil. I know it's a little bit of a different topic, but yes, mentioning it cleared some acne. Tea tree oil, you know, is one of the only essential oils you can put directly on the skin, and it is a great thing I found for bug bites and stuff like that. It's a good thing to have in the preps, but of course, always checking with your medical practitioner before trying anything like that. And yeah, bringing it back to Sugar in the Attic's original topic of are people seeming to be worried. Last night we went to the superstore and it was business as usual in there. It wasn't super empty. People's had reasonable carts. And our theory is that the warehouses that are funneling into these stores they still have stuff in it because all of this fertilizer issues and all of the other supply chain issues haven't necessarily stopped. Everything in those warehouses isn't gone. But 6 months from now, we can't figure out how it won't be a totally different story in 6 months because it's just not all going to get replenished. How could you possibly do that? And then next year, that's what we think is going to happen. But of course, we don't have a crystal ball. Any other thoughts?
Well, I don't remember if it was an article I read or if it was on the news, but we're going to start feeling the grain and corn and shortages probably somewhere around July, from my understanding. Right now, prices are going up, but we should start seeing a little bit of the effects of places not being able to plant and moving into new crop and things like that. So.
I had a friend call last night, and I was talking about the price of lentils because I'm a big lentil person. She said, "Well, it went up 30 cents for a 1 pound bag," and I said, "Yeah, that's a 30% increase." And she said, "It's not a big deal. It's 30 cents. You know, I'm not buying a million bags." And I said, "Okay, let me just take it and put it a different way. Let's say you have $100,000." And your buying power is $100,000. You can go buy something for $100,000. If things go up 30%, you just lost $30,000. Mm-hmm. Your buying power went down by $30,000. And she went, "Oh, I thought about that." And you think about people buying houses or anything, farm equipment or whatever. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's not going to, if it goes up 30%, that's a lot. That's a lot of money. I mean, I don't know what anybody else's thoughts are, but 30%, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All I can say is gardening is like printing your own money right now. Literally, it's not taxed by the government. It's not regulated in any way. The more you can get out of your garden and put in your belly, the better off you're going to be financially, especially next year, like Van City said, when the actual fertilizer shortages start hitting.
I agree. And your husband mentioned peppers. I grow all kinds of strange peppers, like habaneros are big, scorpions. I grow scorpion peppers. I grow all. He's shaking his head like, "Oh no." But what I do is I barter with them because there's a guy that has a barbecue business, and he wanted to put something else different on his menu, and I said that's fine. I also kind of camouflage the gardens where they're not out in the open, just like, "Oh, there's a garden, there's a square, a big square and all this kind of stuff." So if somebody comes, unless they're looking for it, they're not going to be able to find it. Of course, they have to walk quite a bit, back in the woods, but they're not going to see it from the road. So if you're in the city, a lot of people, you can see the gardens everywhere. So if SHTF happens, it's like, "Oh, I can go get food over there." They can see everything.
Yeah. So I want to jump into the comments again. We have another question for the panel from Aloha J. Weather for the growing season this year in your areas compared to last year, and then also, is this year garden growing going to be the most important to your survival? I'll just start by saying where we are, our growing season is pretty much just getting started unless you're doing some winter vegetables. So last year we were hit with a massive heat dome that was in the world news and just got us big time. So so far can't tell how it's going to be. Does anyone have any comments on that question?
Honestly, every year is very important. Every year is a learning curve.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the weather down here is pretty consistent. Our frost kind of ends in the end of February, maybe a little early March sometimes, but we really don't get much. We can grow year round, thank God, down here. But yeah, every year, I've been doing it a long time, and I learned something new. I changed the direction of my garden this year. I was growing north and south, and now I've rode everything east and west just to see how it's going to do this year. Seems to be doing pretty good, but yeah.
And you don't know what kind of pests are going to come this year. You may have unseasonably warm weather and some kind of pest that never came before may come up. I mean, every year is super important. I think next year is going to be the make or break year for a lot of people.
I'm waiting for our frosts don't leave till about April 15th or so. So I still got a little ways to go yet.
Well, I started planting seeds today, and I did peppers, squash. I already have some basil and some of the herbs, and I still have some more seeds too. And I'm not doing mine in the yard. I am doing them on my screened porch. So I have everything in pots. So if you don't have a large area, I do have a yard, but I'm not doing the yard thing because, where I live, to be honest, there are certain restrictions, through HOA, and you can't, even though it's your property, but there are rules that you have to follow. So I'm doing mine on, and one of the things is, but I have seen, I'm jumping from one thing to the other. One of the restrictions is not to dig up the yard. But I have driven through the neighborhood. It's a small neighborhood, and I have gotten a peek at some greens growing in a neighbor's yard. So people don't really follow that so much, but I just chose to put mine in pots. And then once they start coming up, I'll have to get some larger pots. But that's what I'm doing right now.
Another question for the panel from Lewis. If you guys have to pick one or the other, what would you pick, dehydrating or freeze drying? Since I'm already speaking, I'll just start and say I'd probably pick dehydrating only because it's so accessible to most people. You can get a unit for not very much money, and you can process so many different things. But does anyone else have feedback on that question?
Well, I freeze dried, but I had to go to my son's house to do it because he's the one that got the freeze dryer, and I really, really liked it. But they do use quite a bit of power from what he was telling me, where a dehydrator is not going to use as much power as a freeze dryer. But I do like how the freeze dryer, does the food. So. And they are very expensive too, to get a good freeze dryer, so, and a dehydrator's way less money wise.
Well, I say dehydrating, you're going to make an investment when you get a freeze dryer.
Yeah.
To my understanding, properly stored and dehydrated food lasts just as long as freeze dried. So, yeah. Definitely dehydrator for me.
Yeah, me too.
Dehydrator. My favorite is taking the frozen vegetables and putting them on the trays and dehydrating and putting that little oxygen absorber in there, sealing it up in a mason jar. I can fit 6 bags of frozen peas into 1 quart jar. So let's just be real. And it's not heavy.
I have a lot of people ask me, I do a lot of dehydrating videos about, because they usually just send me putting them in a jar. you can put your dehydrated vegetables or whatever in a jar, put a canning lid on it, and they'll be good for a year or so without oxygen absorbers. Not everybody can afford oxygen absorbers, and not everybody's got a vacuum sealer. It's still good for a few years. But if you do have oxygen absorbers, throw an oxygen absorber in there and get 10 plus. But either way it goes, if you're going to be getting in and out of your jar, I use mine all the time. Don't just put it in a jar and put a lid on it. And it's like she said, you can take 10 bags and put it probably in one of those half-gallon jars, or 6 bags, or however, depends on what you're doing.
Yeah, that's right. This is 2 bags of frozen peas and carrots. That's, small jar there, a lot less room, and I don't have to worry about it, going bad. If we lose power, it's good to go.
And FYI, y'all, Walmart has the half-gallon jars. So if you've been on the hunt for them, go on walmart.com. They are there. They're in my store as well as on .com. So I know those are hard to get. So if you're looking.
I'll choose dehydrating as well. Freeze drying, I never did it before, but dehydrating is something I'm actually doing right now.
You go, girl.
That's it. That's how I spent my day. I choose dehydrating any day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do you do any dehydrating?
I say dehydrating.
Yeah. Patty, do you dehydrate?
I've never done it. I've been looking around at different preppers doing it, but I've not done it. It's something I've been thinking about, so I probably will try it.
Check the thrift stores, Facebook Marketplace. You could probably pick them up I picked one up for $6 the other day.
Really? I've looked on Amazon. I haven't been to any of the thrift stores so far.
Yeah, I got mine off of Marketplace for $20. So.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you can get them reasonable.
Yeah.
It's so worth it, and you can preserve so much food that way. So
Absolutely.
much food.
Yeah, I saw you doing the cabbage, Linda. And I love cabbage. I saw the cabbage that you dehydrated. Yeah,
and it comes back so good. I had an old video where I rehydrated it and fried it and made fried cabbage out of it. And it was good, y'all.
So there are a few questions for the panel. One of them is a big question. And because this is sort of a pantry food topic chat, maybe we will definitely answer, but I don't know how far we'll go into. Basically, the question is, can each person on the panel talk about what they're hearing about news-wise rather than Russia or disasters? For example, volcanoes are happening. Well, I'll take that one first. My background as a geological scientist. With my specialty is understanding how volcanoes erupt under glaciers. And there's been some talk about the Ring of Fire, which is, tens of thousands of kilometers around, and whether the earthquakes are linked and the volcanoes are linked. And there are volcanoes, but any given time on Earth, there's many, many volcanoes erupting at any given time. They just don't necessarily make the news because there's nobody around them. And from what I hear in my circles, I haven't heard of any anomalous behavior in terms of earthquakes or volcanoes. We do have a video that I did just talking about the west coast of Canada and earthquake hazard, which I personally am very concerned about. So you can check out that video, but I haven't heard of anything too anomalous. In terms of any other news topics, is there anything else anyone else wants to mention or comment on?
In Florida, it's always hurricanes. So we are usually always ready for hurricane season. That's just, part of living here. But I don't really think, I haven't heard of anybody calling for like a Cat 5 or anything like that yet. But I mean,
We've had some massive tornadoes ripping through from Texas on up through, of course, Tornado Alley up through Tennessee.
Mm.
and then moving its way off to the East Coast. A lot of lives have been lost, and yeah, we're running into that season though. So
Yeah.
You know, we've already had tornadoes in Florida just not even a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah.
that's anomalous.
Yeah. And I am in central Alabama, and we're always under a tornado watch. We're always having high winds and whatever and damages. I've not had any damages here, but there have been damages in the area.
Yeah, we don't really get tornadoes where I live. Once in a great while, we might get some real strong, like straight line winds, that are pretty strong, but not too much. I mean, on any of that. So we're kind of lucky, around the Great Lakes. There'll be more water spouts, which would go, to the lakes rather than on land. So.
So, and Aphrodite Stone is talking about Yellowstone. So we're getting into the geology sphere. So Yellowstone is a super volcano. It erupts on time scales that are, really long time scales. And yeah, it could erupt, and when it will erupt, and when it does, it's going to be massive. But it's not on a time scale that most people are too concerned about. And there was a good question in here about oxygen absorbers from Eric, our buddy Eric. Are oxygen absorbers a must for storage of dry food? And it looks like Harvey, who is an expert in all this stuff, has said, depends on what you were packing. I vacuum seal most, no oxygen absorbers, but turmeric powder, I did both. Any comments about oxygen absorbers from the panel?
You don't need oxygen absorbers for sugar.
Right.
Or salt.
And then one more question for the panel. Do you keep your preps a secret and only tell your prepper friends?
well, my preps, as you see, I don't go around town showing them to, people nearby.
Yeah.
Right.
I have mine in different locations, so they're spread out in X amount of mile area, and also I don't show anybody, and I don't tell anybody, and I definitely don't. I don't tell anybody.
Since you brought that up, I'd like to talk about something. There are a lot of preppers, and it would be more like a survivalist people that do this, I guess. That talk about they have their preps spread all over town. I get there's a lot of people that's going to bug out, but like I had at one point, I rented a storage unit to put some of my preps in because I was tired of my pantry was getting a little bit full, But in an SHTF situation, I need my preps with me. I don't know if cars are going to work if the grid if they hit the satellites and the grid's down like that. Will these newer vehicles work? I don't know, but I don't want to have to go 20 miles to get my water that I stored. I may not have gas to go there to get it. I can't run. I don't understand. I mean, why people scatter their stuff so far away. And I get it. People in Ukraine are having to flee, but I guarantee you they're not making no pit stops to get their food.
No.
You know what I mean? They're heading in a certain direction. You may have to go away from that food. You know what I mean? So you made a comment you had your food in different places. I was just curious.
It's different homesteaders, so to speak. So I don't bury food like on the way. Some people say, "Oh, I'm going to bury my food on the side of the road," and no, I'm not going to bury my food on. I may never get to that point. And you've got construction going on, and all of a sudden they're building a highway, and they dig up my food. There are some other people that say, "Oh, well, I bury my silver and gold and my precious metals, at different places." Okay, I'm not going to do that. But I have it at different homesteader locations that I can get to if I need to. Whether it be if the car doesn't work, if the truck doesn't work, if the donkey works, and maybe the horse works,
Yeah.
or a bicycle, something like I can get there. It may take me a while. I'll get the bug out bag, and that's another thing that I am trying to practice more and more and more. The bug out bag gets heavy after a while because I put too much stuff in it. Just like another channel, I mean, he walks around a big city with his bug out bag on because he needs to be able to carry it, whatever's in it, and I think that's a great idea. But I do diversify. I don't have everything in one place.
I've shown our medium term pantry, but there's a lot of things that don't go on YouTube that we are keeping to ourselves. My pantry is fantastic and it's very showy and it looks amazing and it's so organized, but that's the first 6 months. There's other layers that are not on YouTube, and that is for our own safety.
Right.
Well, I show my working pantry. That's all I've shown, my working pantry that's in my kitchen. And it is a double pantry, but I do not show my extended survival pantry.
Well, I do pantry tours of this is my working pantry / prepper pantry. I do have my long-term food that is not in this room. It's in, but I do share my pantry, and be on the lookout for a video coming up soon on my pantry. My sister helped reorganize it, and you do have a fabulous pantry. I love your pantry tours. I loved your video about how to go to making your list. You can go in and you can, yes, just saying, you do have a fabulous pantry.
If anyone hasn't seen Cynthia's pantry, I was amazed. It's like it's got an island inside with more pantry inside the pantry. I noticed in the comments there's a question, and sorry if I've missed any of them, but tips on cooking with dehydrated foods. The first thing I think of is the rehydration of cabbage by Linda. Linda, would you like to take that question? Do you have any tips on cooking with dehydrated foods?
If you're going to make a casserole and say with ground beef or something, cook your ground beef within just a little bit of water. Throw your little mixed vegetables off in there and cook it while your meat's frying up. It should be rehydrated enough that you can go ahead and toss it in with your pasta, or you can toss it in with the pasta or in with your rice. It rehydrates very easily. Corn takes the longest to rehydrate, I think, but there's really no trick to it. It's just real simple. So Cynthia probably has some good tips on that.
Mr. Biggs just said, I love it when you cook with dehydrated stuff because it sucks the flavor up in whatever we're cooking and it makes it taste even better. He just literally was like, ooh, let's do that. We make a lot of soups and stews with dehydrated things, and using the dehydrated vegetables or whatever helps to thicken it a little bit and make it, just all the more yummy.
Because it works with the bone broth and such that we make.
Yeah.
That is something I've never done, is canned bone broth.
You won't be sorry. I
want to try that. Also, I have been trying to can up my bag beans because I was concerned about the water supply. Water here in my area, the Walmart Great Value brand of, I think it's 40 bottles of water. That is usually $2.67 is now $5 and some change. Water is getting through the roof to purchase. The last thing I want to do is have to use up my precious water to cook those beans. So while water is readily available, if you've got the extra jars, like Cynthia said, beans can take days to cook if they're old. So go ahead and can them up. And season them up too. Season them up.
There's another question here from Ripley, who's a local in the area that I'm in, who's a very experienced prepper, but who won't make a channel because she's so great person. But the question is, what grains is everyone stockpiling with the wheat shortage. And I just wanted to say I am such a fan of Survival Living, CFP's channel, and he always talks about spaghetti. I have so much spaghetti. Every time I stockpile spaghetti, I always give him a shout out. I know that Cynthia and Mr. Biggs are gluten-free. Any feedback about what grains? How about you guys, Cynthia?
So we eat mostly paleo, which is no grains at all. But then when we do grains, we do gluten-free. So I have upped my Amazon pantry order of gluten-free flour, and I am vacuum sealing that and saving it because who knows if we're going to be able to get that. But that's more of a luxury item. Quinoa, I have lots of quinoa, love quinoa, and it stays good forever. And gluten-free pasta, things like that. I mean, once we rotate through it, if the S hits the fan, we just won't eat it anymore. But really, like the pastas and rice, we have some rice. Yeah, that's the
Krusty's gluten-free.
yes, pancake mix. Shout out to them.
If gluten-free or not, you got to get some of the Krusty's. It's like IHOP pancakes. It's
crazy. It's so good.
I got some good stuff.
Shauna, what do you think about grains?
I mean, definitely the rice and all of the pastas that you can get while it's here, at least, because I think almost everywhere the shelves are basically bare for pasta. I don't know about you guys, but definitely here in New Jersey, it's so many gaps with the pasta, and certain pasta you can't find. We couldn't find, I think it was linguine for a while now. So definitely the pasta and the rice. And the Krusties, you guys mentioned the Krusties. I believe that's more of a luxury item as well, because that's a good brand right there. It's really good.
Patty, do you have any thoughts about grains?
Did you say Patty?
I did.
Oh, okay. Well, pasta is a problem here too. The shelves are almost always empty at Winn-Dixie, even slack at Publix, where I do a lot of my hauling, and Walmart. So it is a shortage on pasta here.
I've been trying to kick up the preps in my flour, making sure I have plenty of flour on hand so that I can make bread, biscuits, yeast, and baking powder, and all those things that go along with it. Masa, I've been prepping masa to make tortillas, and of course cornmeal, cornbread mix. Anything that's got anything to do with wheat and corn, that I like to enjoy. I've been paying a little bit closer attention to those things.
Yeah, I noticed the other day I was looking for a biscuit mix, which is Southern Biscuit, Formula L. It's very good. It's almost like from scratch. And I've looked in, generally I buy from Walmart, looked in 2 Walmarts here, and it was not on the shelf.
That's that little 2-pound bag, I think, isn't it?
It's about 5 pounds, and it has the little buttery chips in it. It's a 5-pound bag. I think it's 5.
I gotta do this, girl. What's wrong with you?
It's called Southern Biscuits Formula L. It's very good.
Southern Biscuits Formula L. Where do you usually find it in your Publix, you said?
No, Walmart.
Walmart. Oh, I have to look for that.
I haven't seen it in any of the other stores like Winn-Dixie. I've not seen it in Winn-Dixie. I've not seen it in Publix. I've only bought it from Walmart. Okay. And it used to be on the shelf quite a bit, but I've gone to 2 Walmarts last week and it was not there.
I store a lot of wheat berries because I've got a manual wheat grind or a manual grain grinder. I don't do it electric, so I have lots of wheat berries.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get some wheat berries and a hand grinder too. I don't want electric because if you don't have power, I mean, how are you going to grind it?
The crock pot is a method that if you have a portable generator, the crock pot, I think, only pulls like 80 watt. It's 40 or 80 watts of power. So that's another, I'm sorry to change the topic. That is another good thing to consider too for indoor cooking. I just thought about that.
True. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is there
But
anyone?
if you had to run a generator for a length of time for a crock pot, with the price of gas, that might be a bit much.
No, I'm talking about, well, yeah, because you're going to have to, unless you got a solar powered one. I'm talking about the little indoor little generators.
Oh,
So
yeah.
really low wattage. When you start getting up into those 500 watts, I can't afford them, but those 500 watt, 1,000 watt generators to run your Instapots or your microwaves, and those are pricey. But the crock pot doesn't pull a lot of wattage to run. So if you're able to get you a small little portable generator, like I said, solar, like you mentioned, if you run out of gas, because if you put it in your car to charge it, so but
I noticed in the comments, Sassy Gals here, we've been talking about getting together and doing something soon, and another really great channel, and she's just mentioned that she found on Amazon wheat berries, $17 for a 5-pound bag. I believe she's in the US, and also that she has a solar oven. So that's cool.
So how much, I don't know anything about that. I've heard a lot of people's prep it. I know it lasts many, many years. The wheat berries do. But how, like 5 pounds of wheat berries, how much flour are you going to get out of that? I don't even know what wheat berry looks like, honestly. How much flour would that ground down into? 5 pounds, or is there some of it that's so good?
A little bit less. The thing is, it looks like, I know you've seen horses that eat oats. It kind of looks like that. Kind of looks like oats.
Okay.
Wheat berries do. It's a little bit less because some of the hulls and things of that nature, but it's almost a 1-to-1 ratio. So it stores forever, for 30 plus years.
Okay.
Now, can't you cook that kind of like oatmeal?
You can. It takes a lot of water. It takes a long time to cook. And also, I would not suggest to start eating it. If eat it little by little, don't start out and, every day I'm going to eat this. It's not, your system has to get used to it. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
There are so many fabulous questions in the chat here. Just going to jump over to one from Aloha J again. Do you have MREs ready if the grid goes down? So because anyone who happens to have seen our channel, Mr. VP is a helicopter pilot and travels to different countries all the time for work and stuff, and always has to take MREs to work. So that's one of the reasons. And my previous work, where I did a lot of work in remote places, we both already had tons of MREs. So we have tons of MREs, and yes, they're expensive, but we cycle through them for work reasons. So we've got plenty, and it is something that we prep. But I feel like, Linda, we've talked about this before, and I seem to remember that perhaps you don't, because you don't need like the 20 years down the road food, right? Am I right about that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, my MREs, whatever you want to call them, is my chili sitting back here, ready to eat. I'll pop the top. There you go. There's my meal. I rotate through my stuff, and those are just too expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, we have lots of meals in a jar ready to go, and we have dehydrated food ready to go, but MREs are not something that we do because a lot of them do have gluten in them, and that will make me very sick. Mr. Biggs has no problem with it, but that will make me super sick.
I have some of the 48-hour emergency kits from Walmart, but I got them at Walmart, but they're Augustin Farm. But, you know, they're similar to MRE, I guess.
Same emergency kits here, but anything that's ready to go ahead and pop open the can, we're good.
Yeah. I think those are a good thing to have on hand, you know, ready to eat, you know, out of the can, whether it be a can of pork and beans or chili beans or peaches, you know.
I guess depending on the kind of prepper you are, there's so many aspects to prepping, and those preppers that do bug out and go to, you know, different places, it would be good. Those are lightweight and handy to put into their bug out bag, so it would be easier for them to carry. You know, I can see that, but for me in my situation, yeah, I don't do those.
I noticed in the chat somebody says, what are MREs? So meals ready to eat. So things that are, you know, a lot of times they have a really long life. And somebody was also asking, does anybody make jerky in the dehydrator? And if so, what kind of meat? I don't. So does anyone have an answer for that?
We've done it before with venison, so it works great.
Yeah, I did it before with venison too, and it was so good. It got ate up pretty quickly.
Is there anything that anyone does prep for the long term that doesn't make it to the long term?
Cookies.
Yeah, gluten-free Oreo double stuffed cookies for sure, not making it.
Yeah, the snacks are not making it. I don't think in anyone's household, especially if you have children or if you just love the snack, yeah, it's not going to make it at all.
I think it's really fun to make banana chips in the dehydrator, but they turn out so much better than the ones you buy, and those are really hard to keep on the long term. They're nice to eat, yeah.
It's about time to make some more of them, I think. And I still got to do the marshmallows on the dehydrator, Linda.
Oh, yeah?
Do you use the miniature?
He loves them.
Do you use the miniature marshmallows or the bigger ones?
The miniature ones. The miniature ones.
I thought. Okay. Yeah.
Something I've been thinking about lately. It's been on my mind because I just got this feeling, and I'm not trying to predict nothing. I just got a feeling, you know, there's going to come a point we're going to get cyber hit, and we're going to go into a grid down, whether it's for a day or two, a month, whatever. And it is summertime, y'all. It's summertime. Something that I have not prepped is tents, and those are good in the wintertime when you're cold. But in the summertime, your house is going to be extremely hot. If you have any kind of yard or a place outside, you might want to consider getting you a patio umbrella. I went yard selling, and I went and looked at Walmart at the tents, the canopy tents that had the mesh to keep out mosquitoes and things. Those are like $100 at Walmart. I was lucky. The next day I went yard selling and found one for $20. But y'all, if you want to consider prepping something to keep you out of the sun, you know, because if you really sit and think about what you're going to be doing in an SHTF situation, it's not going to be like we're going to be sitting around playing cards. We're going to be cooking's going to take so much longer. It's going to be hot in your house. Yeah, I mean, we might play cards too, but prep something to keep you out of the sun.
Well,
keep the bugs off of you.
I have a screened-in porch on the back, and I'm good with that.
Well, what's your address, Patty?
I'll tell you after.
Another good prep. It's a comfort prep. I just thought I don't mean to be busting in. I did buy it yesterday. It kind of goes back to kind of the sitting around playing cards, and that portable little generator thing I was telling you about. Those little portable DVD players that are now so dirt cheap, they can last for hours. If you got any DVDs, old DVDs, Prep you with those, and you got those little portable generators. Get you a little portable DVD player. That way you can watch a movie at night while you go to sleep or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
we have plenty of practice for that whole grid down thing from hurricanes. Like Irma, we were 11 days with no power, and that was pretty awful. But
so tell us, what did you do in those on it? Because that is what it's going to be like in a grid down. So tell us, what was your day like? What was it like? What did you do? How did you cook? All the things.
During the eye of the storm, we actually got up. It was still dark, and there was a tree down on our neighbor's house, and they're older people. So we went over and rolled the tree off their house, made sure they were okay, and then went back because we actually spent Irma in our shed. At that time, we lived in a 1960s little tiny mobile home, and we didn't dare to stay inside there because it was a Cat 5. So we were in our shed because it was rated for a Cat 4 hurricane. So we lived in the shed for 11 days. It was interesting. It was all spent doing cleanup. Thank God Mr. Biggs is, super awesome. And we had trees down everywhere, and they had so much stuff going on in town that the people to help people were not coming to the forest. They had closed the big bridge to get out here prior to the hurricane coming, and basically said, you're on your own and we ain't coming. So there were all kinds of people out clearing out the roads and doing like a community effort to get people to where they needed to be. We helped our neighbors a lot. We're pretty much set up for all that stuff. So we didn't really have a whole lot of boredom or anything. Sleeping sucked because it was hot.
Yes.
We had,
you didn't have to do all that cleanup. What was your day like? I mean, how did you cook? How did you bathe? How did you go to the bathroom?
No, there was no bathing. There was a 5-gallon bucket with rainwater that you could wash off with, and we have baby wipes.
That was we actually had a pool.
Yeah, we had a pool at that time.
Yep.
So you could at least get in the pool.
I've always had a generator of some kind. I mean, long term, that's not really sustainable. But we had I've got an AC in the shed, so at night we'd crank the AC up and at least be able to sleep.
It still sucked.
Yeah, it was pretty rugged.
Yeah.
A lot of spiders in my shed. Not the best environment.
It's not great.
I had a few wolf spider bites at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically just cleanup and hanging out. There wasn't a whole
lot of talking, a lot of stories.
You really start to realize that we are a society of convenience. Like, we can just go to the store and get it, turn the TV on. We get to have that recreation because
there was no phones.
Well, everything's done and ready. You just go get it, order it, whatever. But, like Linda was saying a little while ago, if something happens long term, you're washing clothes. That's an ordeal. You're cooking. That's an ordeal. And you're gardening. That's your survival. So you're going to have to work for it. Just think how people did it 200 years ago, and that's basically what you're going to do. You go to bed when the sun goes down because you don't waste your candles unless you need it.
Yeah, it was quite fun. Maybe I'll do a video on that.
I was just about to tell you, I would love it if you did do a video on what a true day is going to be like, because we all got this picture in our head that we're going to be sitting around playing cards, that we're going to, it's not going to be like that. It's not. I mean, it's not. That's why we need to have ready to eat foods, canned beans, canned chilies, your fabulous soups that you canned the other day. Yeah. So please, if you don't mind doing it, I am very interested in that, and I know everybody would be.
We had that issue here in Alabama as well, and it's probably the same storm, the same hurricane. We didn't have power for over a week, and we lived in a smaller brick home at the time, no screened-in porch, just a back patio, and it was super hot. The worst time was at night, trying to sleep. So everybody moved from the bedroom to the front of the house where we could open the door and kind of get some air that way. It was horrible. So I know what you're talking about. We had that issue here as well.
Yeah, I'm just...
There was a follow-up question from Rita Hunter. To the Biggses, what part of Florida are you in? I lived in Naples and then Punta Gorda, right where Charlie went through.
Oh my gosh. No, we live in the Ocala National Forest. It's in the middle of the middle. So we live in the big square county right
Nope.
here.
Yeah, so you see that little green dot right in the middle.
The big green dot. That's where we are. This
pretty
guy
much
right
it,
here. Yeah.
When I did a lot of work in the tundra and stuff, we would get dropped off and then we get picked up sometime a few weeks later. And sometimes really bad weather would roll through, and if it did, we were in tents, and it didn't matter if it was electrical or if it was storms, like we're there. And it didn't matter if they're animals. If the weather's really bad, we're not getting picked up. And it's not comparable to that because it wasn't a natural disaster. It's just that in that point, honestly, it was mostly boredom. But we would play crib championships, because at least if there's a championship, there's something to work on. And having a crib board and cards just for the boredom was helpful. So I've stocked up a lot of cards and extras to give out if needed. I know that's a very small thing because it's assuming everything is okay.
So going back to what you said, Cynthia, a great prep to make sure that we have, and I do recommend if you have one to vacuum seal them, and that would be the wipes. That way you can at least clean up a little bit. So.
Yeah, the very beginning of the pandemic, I was actually making my own sanitizing wipes, putting, getting the good paper towels and rubbing alcohol and a little bit of dish soap and cutting them in half, putting them in a big coffee can, because I couldn't get any sanitizer wipes, whereas back then. So I learned to make my own. If you can learn to make your own on different things that you might need, then you can make your own baby wipes even.
Does anybody know how long a 16-ounce, 1 gallon, whatever propane tank might last if you're using it on a camp stove? And does it take long to the camp stove? Well, Lynn answered that last time, but it cooks your food rather quickly, right?
Yeah, I've got one. I went through a bottle. I was doing canning though outside on it, so
you can can on a camp stove.
Yeah, I got a video out from last summer. I made jelly outside.
Okay, you're talking about water bath canning.
Yeah.
We've pressure canned with a turkey fryer before. Not recommended, but we still tried it.
It works.
Yeah. It works.
We used it for hot water actually during that hurricane.
During the hurricane, we used it to make hot water, the turkey fryer. It was
awesome. I need to get a turkey fryer.
Dipped it right out of the pool, heated it up, and did the whole...
Yeah, did the whole little bath thing with some hot water. But that's what we used for hot water was the turkey fryer, for dishes, for everything.
The little Coleman stove, how much propane did that use? I mean, how long would one, like, if you were just going to cook like 1 or 2 meals a day, that would be quick meals because, of course, would it last you a week maybe, or?
If you cook really quick, just did the minimum, you could probably get, like say, you do a breakfast, a quick lunch, and dinner. I'm thinking maybe 3 days out of 1. We use them a lot when I go hunting and stuff. They really they'll burn out pretty quick. If you've got like a dual burner stove too, especially.
Okay.
And if you refill them, you never can quite get them full. Like if you do the upside down 20 pounder.
You can't use the 20 pound. You have to have a converter to use the 20 pound tank.
You can get a hose and the conversion kit. It's pretty cheap on Amazon. I mean, that's pretty much what we've done with most of our stuff.
Is that the same? Is that the same one that converts the buddy heater?
Yes.
Okay, good. I got one then.
Yep, you can use that.
Okay.
Enough talking from us. How about somebody else?
I mean, another thing, if you have one of the older Coleman cook stoves that take the white gas, you don't have to buy the white gas from the store in the cans. Actual gasoline works. We've done that for years. So, I mean, that's an option.
So this has been amazing, and you guys are still here. And of course, if you have to run, it's understandable. But I was gonna say, it seems like from the chat, there's a lot of really experienced people in preparedness here, and all of you guys are experienced. But just in case there's somebody's listening who's new, just in case, does anybody want to share a prep that they would recommend, that just one thing that they think is cool? I will start by saying making sure you have a shortwave radio to listen to AM and FM if your phone or something like that goes down. You can get them in Canada, Canadian Tire, Amazon. We're looking at $20 at most for an inexpensive one. Obviously, quality is better, but just to have something. Any other ideas out there?
I say a handheld, the handheld solar flashlight with the radio on it that cranks up, you know. I have, I think, wow, probably 5 of them. You know, crank it up and you got light, you got radio, you got no radio, you know.
Anything,
so that would be my number one.
Anything solar power, basically, because batteries will run out fast if you're basically just hoping to use batteries all the time.
Yeah. We just got some solar for our RV. That'll be down the road, getting it ready, you know. So
I would suggest a Sawyer Mini water filter, because it filters 100,000 gallons and it's really small. You can throw it in a bug out bag and you can leave. So I always suggest that.
Mm-hmm.
My suggestion is to keep it simple and store what you eat and eat what you store. And if it's some kind of situation or whatever, don't worry about a balanced meal and organic and all that stuff. Just put something, especially if you have kiddos, just put something in their belly that they'll actually eat. They're going to be stressed out. You're going to be stressed out. So just keep it nice and easy.
So something that I keep on me or have in all of my vehicles and hers.
Machete.
Yes. A good knife, even a cheap knife has a place, and a 10 to 18 inch blade machete. I mean, it goes a long way. You can dig a little hole with it. You can chop clean. I mean, I've hit deer, unfortunately. And, you know, when you have somebody on their way to work in the morning and you're standing in front of the headlights of your Jeep, you know, bopping them in the back of the head with a machete, you look a little crazy, but, you know, you've got to put it out to get it home.
Yeah.
And I will mention, if that happens in Canada, you're supposed to call it, in Canada in particular, you do call the RAP line, the Conservation Officer Service, and then they have a system that they do. Is our policy here, but different country.
That's just living with Mr. Biggs. That's all.
You're supposed to do that here, but they don't really say anything.
Your story about when you guys were doing the animal and then your neighbors drove by. That's a good story. Yeah, that's awesome. Any other additions of a prep for a newbie?
Have a way to filter water too. Any kind of way to filter water.
Make sure you have plenty of ways to start a fire. Matches. I don't know what they're called, those flint things that you can strike and start a fire with. Cigarette lighters. So
And on that note of making fire, the first thing that comes to mind is Arc Wildman Survival, who's in the chat. So there's a fire expert. His superpower is fire making. So check out his channel as well for info on that.
Flint and steel. Okay.
Yeah. We'll probably wrap this up because it's just I could talk to you guys all night. But can we just go around quickly though and just let us know how people can find you? Because some people are on multiple platforms and some are not. If you're new, you can find me on this channel obviously, and on Instagram and on Telegram. How about you, Sugar in the Attic Homestead?
I'm on YouTube only, so just go on and put in Sugar in the Attic Homestead.
All right. Patty?
I'm on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
Awesome. How about you, Cynthia?
Oh, hold on. I am on Instagram as Our Bigs Adventure and The Bigs Prep, and I do post pretty much all the time on both. I'm on YouTube, and you can email me at ourbigadventure@yahoo.com if you want to reach out to me with a specific question.
And I'm usually outside working on stuff, so just stop by.
Don't actually do that, please.
Nene.
I'm on YouTube, Nene's Prep and Kitchen.
Right on. And Linda.
I'm on YouTube at Linda's Prepper Kitchen. Email is always down in the bottom, so is my mailing address.
Oh, perfect. And how about yourself, Shana?
Okay, I'm here on YouTube under Moments with Us. I'm also on Facebook, Moments with Us 5, and definitely check everyone out here in this live stream because everyone is useful. And if the grid go down, get the information while you can. Trust me, you want to do that.
Absolutely.
I'll be waiting on your video, Cynthia.
No pressure.
Yeah.
I'll do it in my spare time, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it won't be long
Yes,
until
you.
August. You won't have a choice to make one.
Right. I'm sure we'll get a hurricane before long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here, and thanks for everybody in the chat. I know a bunch of us have been reading all of the comments, and I'll go back later and watch it with the live chat and double check them all. And thanks, Harvey, as well for all these links that you've been dropping. Okay, so we're gonna sign off. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
Bye.
having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.